back. Sorry, guys. Okay. So we're going for part 2 of mortgages. Ready? 753. Can you guys hear me? Good. All right. So part 2 of mortgages. We're going to talk about assignment of the mortgage. Here's the thing. When we're assigning mortgages, it's not me and you. It's the bank. It's a little different from when we're talking about assignment of mortgages, assignment of contracts and assignment of the leases. It's a little different because it's not between individuals. It is still the assignment of a contract, but it's the note. So what I want to address it like, I've been talking about the check, the IOU, right? A check being an IOU. If you guys have a salary, if you're getting paid a salary, right? And you still receive a check, your employer gives you a check that says, I owe you money. You can go cash it at the bank and I promise to pay you. I promise there's money there for you to cash. Good so far? Right. When you get to the bank, you're going to assign that promissory note, the check, you're going to assign that to the bank. So who deposits the check? Is it you? No, it's the bank. They're the ones that cash that IOU. And they give you money, trusting that there is money on the other side as well. That's why sometimes it takes a few days. Some lenders give you right away. Some of them say, hey, let's make sure the money comes through, right? But that's what it is. You get there and you assign to the bank. So in this case, what the lenders do is, let's say you close today at 12 p.m. You closed with Bank of America. Congratulations, you own a home, right? And you owe money to Bank of America. By 4 p.m. the same day, or later on in the process of your loan, so let's say a week, 2 weeks, a year, but it could be the same day, and sometimes it happens the same day, Bank of America gets that check, just like you got from your employer, right? Gets that check, goes to a different bank and gives it to them, assigns to them. So who collects the money? The bank that they assign it to. Just like when you receive the check and take it to your bank, the bank is the one collecting the money, not you. Right? You guys understand so far? So a note or bond is usually a negotiable instrument. Okay? It's a check that you can endorse and pass it along to somebody else. And to prove my statement, guys, if you have deposited a check into your account, go check your account online or your statements, and there should be a copy of the check. And you're going to see in the back, there's a stamp that says payable or paying the order of, or to the order of that person. So it was written to you, paid to the order of you, but now it says in the back, endorsed and payable to another person. In this case would be the bank that you deposited. All right? So the lenders do that. They assign between themselves. They transfer. That's why you close paying Bank of America and all of a sudden Chase is the one collecting on you. Or all of a sudden Wells Fargo is the one collecting on you. And you have no idea what happened. They sold it. I'll explain on Wednesday. I'll explain Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll see how it goes. I'll explain who or why they would do this, okay? Who will benefit from this and why would they do this? Mauricio just wrote, so when they change lenders, is that a note transfer? Absolutely. All right. The next thing we have here is an Estoppel certificate. Some people have asked me that because it does pop up maybe in the school test or in the practice tests. Barely ever happens to show up in the state, but it could show up. An Estoppel certificate pretty much says, hey, I'm Bank of America, you're Chase, I'm transferring to you, but this is how much we've collected, and this is how much the borrower now owes you. We're not entitled to collect any more money, you do. So it kind of like stops me from being able to collect any more from here on. Does that make sense? So think about it in that sense. It stops me from being able to collect. So the Estoppel Certificate shows the amount that remains to be repaid and interest rate. It shows what's left as it transfers to the new owner. By law, as you guys see here, technically this should be executed by the borrower. Most of you will never see it, or you won't realize what it was. Okay? All right. Just 1 second. Now the question is very simple. If Bank of America is the one that closed, right? Bank of America is the one that closed. But now Chase is the one collecting on the note. When you finish paying off the debt, who is the one that's responsible for releasing the debt? Remember we talked about defeating the bank, the Deficiency Clause, right? Up here, right? Who is responsible for releasing the debt? Well, it says right here. The assignee, so Chase in my example, is the one that is required to release. It's no longer the original one, okay? It's the one that received, Chase, the one that received the benefit. You guys got it? The assignee is the one that received the benefit. Again, E, remember that? Assignee, E, benefits. Grantee, lessee, mortgagee, assignee is the one that benefits from the transaction, right? In exchange for money, obviously, so the OR also benefits somehow. Now, let's say there's a foreclosure. Who's going to foreclose on you? It's the same thing. The one that forecloses on you is also the assignee, not the original mortgagee. So if you don't pay, who's going to sue you? In my scenario, Chase. Why is this important? Because you guys, you're supposed to be real estate consultants, right? Say yes, nod your head, give me thumbs up, whatever, right? You're supposed to be real estate consultants. So remember when we talked about pre-foreclosure? When people start defaulting, right, they're going to start receiving notices. But the one that comes from court is the one that shows who the assignee is. See, Bank of America could still be collecting on the mortgage as kind of like a property manager. They could still collect on the mortgage. But what they've done is assign it to Chase. They're collecting on behalf of Chase. Bank of America was originally, and I'll talk about better about this on Tuesday or Wednesday, but originally Bank of America was the lender, but they're now a servicer. Servicer equals property manager in terms of ideal. So if you think about it, they collect and pass it along to the owner, right? So you've been paying Bank of America, Bank of America, Bank of America. 15 years later, you stop paying, and here comes Chase, Wells Fargo, whoever. You don't even know who they are, and they're the ones suing you. You know how many people look at it and think it's a scam and just ignore it altogether? Like if Bank of America did not say anything to me, then we're not in foreclosure. We're good. Who's Chase? Chase, this is a mistake. Another scam, and they just ignore it. Understand, you're supposed to help people, so giving information is part of your job. So educate first, educate second, educate third, make sales fourth, okay? So you will make money because by being the professional, by positioning yourself as a figure of authority, people will run to you. You got it? So make sure you give as much information as you can. It's very helpful. Now, the next thing we got is recording mortgages. Question: why do we record anything into public records? Let me see in the chat. Why do we put anything into public records? Do we have to? It's not you that does it, by the way. To see who gets paid first, priority of interest, absolutely. To maintain your claim, absolutely. Okay. See, you're not the one that's going to be recording. It's the lender, right? But why do they do it? To establish priority. You're putting the flag down and saying, I'm here first, right? Because that's what used to happen back in the days. They put the flag down and say, I was here first, right? So that's what it is, establishing priority right here. That's why we record. So mortgage must be recorded right away. The next thing we have is interest rates. Okay. Usury. I'm going to talk about usury. All right. I don't know if you can read what I just wrote, but usury is being used and abused by the bank. That means they're charging you an unreasonably high rate of interest, knowing that you cannot afford it. You guys got it? Usury is being used and abused by the bank. They're charging you an unreasonably high rate of interest. Now, every state law has a different rule regarding usury. So there are states that allow, they have no limits, and there are states that have higher limits than we have in New Jersey. And there are states with lower. But usury is charging ridiculous amount of interest, knowing that somebody cannot afford it. As you see here, federal government, in an effort to make mortgage money freely available, they have exempted most regular lending institutions. Who are the regular lending institutions? Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, Capital One, right? Those are regular lending institutions. They are exempted from usury limits. They can charge whatever they want. You guys understand what I said? Private lenders are bound by state usury laws. We're going to talk about in chapter 15 that banks are regulated by the Federal Reserve and some other entities, but state does not limit the banks. They limit private sources. So if I lend to you, there's a limit on how much interest I can charge you. Okay? So here we go. Who is bound by this law? The seller who takes back financing. The seller who takes back financing, or the seller financing. I'm telling you, today's Kids Day, popping in every screen. Seller financing. Nanette, regular lending institutions, we are talking about Wells Fargo, Chase, and so on. The regular banks, regular lenders that we know. Private lenders are regulated by this law. So seller financing. Now, guys, real quick, let's go to the chat real quick. I want you guys to write in the chat, why does it say, when it talks about seller financing, why does it say seller takes back financing? Who can explain that? Why does it say seller take back financing? Seller take back financing. Nope, not breach of agreement. That was a good one though. I would think so, like take back, almost like repo, right? You did something wrong and they take it. That was a good one, but no. Seller takes back financing. No clue is not an answer, but that was good too. Probably as good as breach of agreement. Honesty at its best. Anybody else? Nobody? The bank? Nope. It's seller financing. Seller financing. I'm selling to you, right, the property, but you are borrowing from me, so I'm the one lending as well. You guys should understand this concept from how we started the chapter. I know it was a long time ago, right? It was a very, very long time ago. But it was 2 hours and 30 minutes ago. So here's the thing. Nope, not refinance. All right, we'll stop right here. I'll cut to the chase. So here's the thing. Who is the mortgagor and who's the mortgagee? Who's the mortgagor? Nope. Not with, nope. Nope. Who's the mortgagor? Who's the mortgagee? That's what I want to know. You can stop these because that's incorrect. So mortgagor is the owner, mortgagee is the lender. Okay? I sell the property to you, right? I sell the property to you, but I'm also your lender. What do I get back when I become the lender? When I'm the owner, I'm the grantor. You get the property. I get paid interest, yes. Sarah, collateral. What is the collateral represented by? What is the collateral represented by? Mortgage is represented by the mortgage. We get the house back as a lien. See, I'm the seller. I sold it to you. I don't have the property anymore. But I'm taking back the grip on the property by having a mortgage that you gave to me. I gave you the money. You gave me the mortgage. This is why the beginning of this chapter was so important for you to understand. All right? Who gives up the mortgage? Who gives the mortgage? The borrower. Well, aren't you borrowing from me? The seller? I sold to you, but I financed the purchase. You gave me a down payment. Now you're paying me in installments. You understand? Throw me questions if you got. Hi, Maria and company. It's Friday. I see more people on camera than before. I'm going to start charging, I'm telling you. Maria, Isabel, I'm charging you for the extra person. You put the glasses on to hear me say charging better. All right. The seller in this case is the mortgagor? Nope. The seller becomes the mortgagee. All right, let's go here. I have room to write. That's what I meant. She's a good save. That's what I meant. All right. I'm the seller. Right? Seller equals grantor. Right? If you guys remember the table, it says the seller gives up the property. Right? And then the buyer the grantee receives the property. You don't even know the question anymore? All right, Sarah, what I was asking is, why is seller financing considered a take-back financing? Because that's what it says in the book. A seller who takes back financing or holds a mortgage. What I was trying to show you guys is this. The seller is the grantor, the buyer is the grantee. The seller gives up the property, the buyer receives the property. But if we go to mortgagor, equals borrower. Isn't that what I put on the table? Right? What do? They give up the property to lender. And the mortgagee is the lender. They receive the property from the buyer. Are you guys seeing the sequence here? You guys see it? So the buyer was the grantee, but they're now the mortgagor. The seller was the grantor, but they're not the mortgagee. Why? Because in the seller financing, who's the lender? Who's the lender in seller financing? The lender is the seller. Instead of you going to the bank, you ask the seller to help you buy the house. Right? So the seller in seller financing right? The seller becomes lender because they're the ones financing the purchase. If they become the lender, then they receive the property from the buyer as a lien, the mortgage. So now they hold the mortgage, right? They're the ones that now have the grip on the buyer's property. That's why it says take back financing, because they get rid of the property, they give it up. That's the very first one. They give it up, right? But then they receive it as forms of a paper that says, if you don't pay me, I get the property back. Until then, I have an easement, right? I have an interest in your property. I have a right to your property through this lien. Okay? Now we're going over words we've learned before. I'm just putting it all together for you. What do we got? How does a seller benefit by holding that mortgage in his or her name? Well, the seller benefits because you gave me a down payment, right? For $300,000 purchase, you gave me a down payment of 20%, let's say, right? That's $60,000, right? And then you pay me over the next 30 years, you pay me in installments at 8%, at 10%, at 15%, whatever I determine, as long as I don't commit usury, right? But you pay me with interest over the years. So instead of selling the property for $300, I sold it for $450 or $500 because at the end, I've made more money. Now, if I need the money right now, I'm sorry, buyer, you need to get with Bank of America, Wells Fargo, or whoever, finance the purchase. I need my money now. If I don't need the money now, then what I'm going to do is I'll finance the purchase. You don't have to go to the bank. I'll become the bank. Right? I'll become the lender. I'll lend you the money. Do I have to give you cash? Have you ever received cash from the bank when you buy a house? Did you ever receive cash? Did you receive cash when you buy a car? Do they go like, oh, I lent you money. Here's the money. Now go pay for the car. Never. So here, the seller doesn't give you money. What they give you is the right to purchase over several years, but you got to pay me interest. So give me a down payment, a commitment, right? And you'll pay me every month at certain interest, just like to the bank. Isn't that fee determinable? No, the title is yours. The title is yours. It's not from seller to buyer that we put the determination here. It's as a lender. So the seller steps out from being a first party, right, to the title, becomes a first party to the loan. Separate transactions, okay? For the fee determinable to exist is I sell to you and I put a condition on the deed itself. I put a restriction on the deed, but I sold to you directly. Got it? Becoming a lender is totally separate from title. Okay? You're talking about the assignment of the mortgage cycle where the original... Nope. There's no assignment. We're not talking about assignments. This is just talking about usury. Who can charge what? Banks can charge whatever they want in interest. And we're trying to say that private sources for money, so if I'm your lender, right? If I'm your lender, I have a limit. If you're buying a house and you talk to the owner and say, hey, I don't have good credit, but I got the money, I got this, I got that. And the owner goes like, if you really want it, I'll let you pay me over several years. Then the owner becomes, so the seller becomes the bank. All right, so it has nothing to do with assignments. Is you're buying a house, so the title becomes yours, the deed becomes yours. The seller steps out of the house and becomes the lender for you. Okay? That's with the home being owned completely by the seller. We'll talk about that on Tuesday or Wednesday. There's something called wraparound mortgage. Even if they still owe some money, you still might be able to buy it. Okay? Why would they do that? Listen, I don't have any I don't have any needs to get the money right away. So I want the best bang for my buck, right? So what I'm going to tell you is I don't mind waiting for several years. Just pay me with interest, and that's money. It's like I'm getting the return on my money every month. Why would they do it? I don't need the money right now. I'll get the interest. That's it. It's an investment. For me, I'll see it as an investment. That's all. You got it? If you need the money, like I was saying, if you need the money, then you'd say, no, I'm desperate. I need the money. I need to do something else with it. No, but if you have no worries, be the lender. You want to become wealthy? Be the lender of something with security. Don't go and lend your money to other people just because you like them. Okay? You'll lose a lot of money, believe me. Go lend money to people that want to buy a house. There's a security. If they don't pay you, what do you get? You get the house. So you still have value. You don't get paid, but you have value. Does that make sense? So, but you want to be wealthy? Become the bank. Just saying. That's it. It's that simple. It's not as bad as you think. No, I'm not saying be a loan shark. Has nothing to do with that. No. Please don't. No. Don't charge 20%. Okay? Don't do that. All right. Rough them up. No comments. This crowd on a Friday. Jeez. All right, guys. Anybody wants to take a picture of this? Do it now. You want a screenshot? Do it now. And I'll move forward if there's no other questions. Good? All right. Next thing. So seller financing, I already addressed why it's called a take back, because they get the mortgage. That means they get the property back through a lien, right? Third parties, so a real estate broker, a grandfather, an investor, as we just talked about, may also lend the buyer money to purchase someone else's property. So we're not directly in the transaction. Now, in New Jersey, sellers may charge no more than 16% on the first mortgage. However, they may charge as much as 30% when they are selling their own primary residences. So if it's a house where I live and you're purchasing and I'm moving somewhere else, I need to pay somewhere else as well. So I can charge you extra amount of money to cover this purchase and to cover my moving somewhere else. Okay, max 30%. When a private third party, let's say me, I'm the one lending you the money. So someone not the seller, okay, and not an institutional lender makes a mortgage loan, it is essential to find out ahead of time what usury limits apply. Why? Because if they're charging you an illegal rate of interest, illegal rate, that means above the limits, right? Then it's not legally enforceable. So you might have a good case for not paying the debt at all. But if somebody charges you a ridiculously high rate of interest, you might not have to pay at all. You go to court and say, hey, Your Honor, I'm sorry, I did not know about usury limits. They took advantage of me, right? And the judge will say, okay, you either come up with an agreement or in punishment, right? So they'll punitive damages to the lender. They'll say, get out of here. So they don't have to pay you anymore. So it could happen. Don't go out there and start asking for these types of loans just because you know you might get away with it, right? Let's see what we got. Yariel, so you could ask Ask them, hey, you want to do the loan between us? Absolutely. It's a private agreement. Why not? As a listing agent, you should always ask the seller if they are willing to finance the purchase. If somebody comes up with 20% down payment, right? Let's say 20% or 25% down payment, and they're willing to carry over make those payments, and you carry over the mortgage, why not? As a seller, you make way more money. Think about it. And then what can you do? You can sell the notes. There's people that buy the notes, just like the banks transfer the notes. There's people that buy it. Simple. So you issued the mortgage and then you sell it to somebody else. Just like Bank of America sells to Chase or to Wells Fargo or so on. You can do it too. So you get your money plus some, and then somebody else deals with it. You guys ever heard of J.G. Wentworth? J.G. Wentworth? It's my money and I want it now. You've heard of it? Okay. See, what he talks about is if you have a structured settlement. So if you settled for something, a car accident, a work accident, whatever, they pay you over several years. But you need the money now. Thus, their motto, it's my money and I want it now. So go ahead and chant it, right? Some of you are probably singing it already. But the thing is, they will pay you money today to get the right for all those years. They don't mind waiting years. Does that make sense? You're supposed to make $1 million. They'll give you 600 today. For you, it's great because you're getting it today. For them, it's great because they're making way more money over several years. You understand? That's why people sell or banks sell their loans. Like H&R Block and the hero just wrote 877 cash now. Gotta love it. Yep. Imputed interest. Don't worry. Do not worry about imputed interest. On the right hand side, we have prepayment. Okay? In New Jersey, there's no prepayment penalty. So, let's say today's Friday. What is it? Is it the Mega or the Powerball? One of those? Mega, right? Friday's Mega? Anybody? Who can tell me? Mega. Okay. There you go. Somebody just won the Mega, right? Because I saw that there was like $20 million only. Notice that I put only there. I think somebody won. In Arizona. It's never here. It's unbelievable. And when it's here, it's somebody that doesn't need the money anymore. Right? And I try to find these people that disappear quickly. So I think they're paid by the government. That's what it is. All right. It's a joke. I'm not starting conspiracy theory saying that it's an inside game. Not saying that at all. All right. But let's say, guys, you close today on your house. Congratulations, you're a homeowner, right? Tonight, you win the mega millions. Not bad. So you got a new house. You got a bunch of millions. But do you get the money today? No. It takes a couple of weeks. So let's say 2-3 weeks from now, you get half of those millions because they have to take all those deductions for taxes, and the company that's managing takes a cut too, and all that, right? Let's say instead of right now it's 20 million, so you get 10 million. Still not bad, right? Who would like 10 million right now? Right? I mean, give me an extra 10,000, I'm happy. So, just saying, if I win 10,000, I'm happy. So, yep, that is so true. But let's say you got your money 2-3 weeks from now, you get to 10 million, and you go like, it might be a smart thing, it might not be a smart thing. So we'll talk about that in a different time. But let's say you got all these millions in your hand, and you go like, why am I paying $300,000 mortgage, and I got millions of dollars here with me? Let me just pay it off. So your loan technically was for 3 weeks. Did the bank make any money? in 3 weeks, they made what, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 maybe? Do you think that's enough incentive for a lender to lend? No, right? So in some states, they can charge you, hey, if you pay sooner, you got to give me 1% or 2% of the loan. In New Jersey, nope. New Jersey, if you get a loan today, you pay it off tomorrow, right? They cannot charge you anything at all. But this is for mortgages. Mortgages. No prepayment penalty for mortgages. And this only applies to institutional lenders. So if I lend to you, or if the seller lends to you, can they charge you a prepayment penalty? They can. They're not institutional. Institutional lenders are the equivalent here to regular lending institutions. So institutional lenders, we're talking about Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and so on. Those cannot charge prepayment penalties. You see, we get hit in the front end by not being able to charge interest above a certain rate. They are exempt. They can charge whatever they want. But in the back end, if you pay me earlier, I can charge you that fee. They cannot. We can. You got it? Any questions? Throw them in the chat. Damn, Brian, I feel like sending you money right now, man. He goes like, give me $10 for gas and I'm good. I'll send you $10 a day for gas, man. So Mauricio wrote, made very little. It's like credit cards. They want you to owe to collect that. Yeah, you'll probably notice that credit cards, what they do is if you don't use the credit card, they'll reduce the limit or cut off the credit altogether. Or they'll charge you a yearly charge for you not using the credit card. They're entitled to do so. It's their money and they want to make more money. Remember, I told you, you want to be wealthy? Become the lender. Because you can charge whatever you want, right? And if you want to charge penalties as well, you can. If you want to charge yearly fees, you can. Whatever you want. As long as it's not usury, so up to a certain limit, you make money. Just like credit cards. All right, let's address first and second mortgages. Now, you guys already know this. If there's no prior mortgage lien, it's not no prior mortgage by itself. Notice the difference. We already covered this. We're not talking about prior mortgage by itself. Prior mortgage lien. That means it was recorded already, right? Because a mortgage is not a lien until it's recorded. So if there's no prior recorded mortgage, then the one that records now is the first mortgage. Whoever records later is the second mortgage. We got this, right? You guys are understanding the reason why I went so slow right in the beginning? Right? Everybody's getting this now. And we're tying into previous chapters, so it's making it easier. For those that started later on, once we get to those previous chapters, guess what? You'll understand everything. So now it's make it easier and easier. Now, here's something to confuse you guys. So Yariel just went LOL, yeah. I don't know if that meant LOL, I still don't understand, but yeah, okay. Or LOL, I got it, yeah. That's the problem with text messages, right? We never know what's really coming out. Like sometimes it sounds sarcastic, ironic, all that, right? Sometimes it's like straightforward, we understand. Okay, not the LOL, yeah was no. Why you went slow, got it, perfect. You know, it could have sounded like as if, you know, as if I got it, right? Jasiel just told Mauricio, nice couch. Yeah, he finally removed the background. So everybody can see the couch. All right, let's confuse you guys a little bit. You ready? Yes? Subordination agreement. Let me ask you something. What does it mean to be subordinate? We're going to talk about this right after the couch. Okay? So start typing after nice couch. What does it mean to be subordinate? Less than primary, comply, okay. I gave you the answer as I was talking about the couch, by the way. To force you? Nope. Kinda, maybe. Mauricio says I'm moving now. Okay. Under someone like secondary. Yep. Anybody else? Submiss. Sarah, I don't know what you're into, but let's keep this PG, okay? Listening to others higher. Yep, okay. Saying. There's kids here, come on. Beneath. All right, the best answer right here. The best answer, beneath. Being subordinate, beneath. It's not comply, it's beneath. So if you're insubordinate, you're not complying. Let's go with that, right? You're going against somebody above you that's giving you direct instructions or direct orders. But you guys remember I told you, I don't know if you paid attention or not, but I told you to start writing after the nice couch comment, right? Why did I say after? Because first was a couch, the comment itself. Second would come your comments. So your comments are subordinate. They're in second position to the couch. You got it? So congratulations, Mauricio. He ran away when we talked about his couch. Congratulations. Use your couch as an example. So what does this have to do with mortgages? Well, there's first and there's second mortgage. There's thirds and there's fourth, right? So let's say we have a first mortgage. And we have, all right, let me put numbers, it'll be a lot easier. So first, we have second mortgage. Who gets, in the case of foreclosure, who gets paid first? Obviously, first mortgage, because they recorded first, right? Subordination agreement means that the one that's underneath could take over. And the one that's above could come second. So a subordination agreement literally is, I understand that you're first, and the other person goes like, I understand that you're second. But we agree to switch places in the event of foreclosure. So in the event of foreclosure, who gets paid first? The second mortgage. Who gets paid second? The first mortgage. Subordination agreement, we literally just switch places. Okay, we invert positions. Sarah. Sorry, I had to. I couldn't resist that one. All right. Now the question is, some of you are confused. I got it. The question is, why? Why would you switch places? Yes, that is the question. So, who can answer that? Why would a second mortgage be okay, would ask to be first, and why would a first mortgage be okay becoming a second in the event of foreclosure? Why would the first mortgage become submissive? Whoever's watching from home, gonna have a lot of fun. Like on YouTube, they don't see all of this stuff. I mean, now they do. Why? Unless the second loan was more valuable to them, yeah, absolutely. But why? How would the second loan be more valuable? Go ahead. What do you guys think? Nope. Higher rates have nothing to do with that. Priority? Well, they would have priority, but why? Why would the first mortgage, guys, understand one thing. Why would I have my position secured as being first. Why would I agree to be beneath you? Why would I agree to be second? Why? Maybe they owe less money, then you should be able to refinance, right? Same. Default on the first mortgage, so the second follows up? Nope. Jeff just wrote, could assist in closing a transaction. It might be worth more in total. All right, so let's stop with Jeff right there. There you go. Jasiel, let me address this. Second mortgage usually charges more interest. They don't have more interest. They charge. So it's different than having a position where you'd go first. It's totally different. But this is the answer. The answer is getting something of more value and benefit everybody. Okay? So if you guys see, go back here. That's what it says here. This is sometimes done to allow further financing when the first lender feels that additional loan would benefit all concerned. The concept is simple. You borrowed $100,000 first mortgage. Then you went to a second bank and said, "Hey, bank, I want to fix up the property. I need $50,000." The problem is, let's say it's to fix the property, then this is, right, if it's to fix the property, this is a construction loan, right? You guys good so far? It's a construction loan. Being a construction loan, it's high risk because you might not fix the property. You might just run away with the money, or whatever way you fixed it might actually devalue the property. You never know. You might screw up on fixing the property, right? So traditionally, construction lenders, they insist on having a first position, right? Because there's no security. In the event of foreclosure, who gets paid? In this scenario, $100,000. So they insist, wait, I will give you money, but we have to be first. But the house as is doesn't qualify to refinance and pay the whole thing. You guys with me so far? But if we fix the property, after fixing the property will be worth $350,000. This is called after repair value. If you get into investments, that's what we always look at. How much is it going to be worth after fixing up the property? You understand? A simple $50,000 investment could bring up the value to $350,000. So if you guys notice, we borrowed $100,000 and then $50,000. How much is left? And this is called equity. So what happened is, if there's a foreclosure, let's say you don't pay, if there's a foreclosure, do you think there's enough money there to pay everybody? There is. This is equity. Right here, this is equity. The property is worth $350,000. So if you don't pay the first or the second mortgage, they'll still get their money back, and there's money back to the homeowner as well. The equity, if they recover more than that, it goes to the homeowner. Well, not the homeowner anymore because they lost it. But are you understanding what I'm trying to say? They are secured because this investment here increased the value. So it benefits everybody. Do you think the first mortgage would now have a problem in becoming second? No, because their investment is secured by this immediate equity. The investment is secured by the immediate equity. Worst case scenario, it drops $50,000 or $100,000 in value. Guess what? There's still enough to pay everybody involved. You guys get it? Okay. Why would the second mortgage be first and the first mortgage allowed to be second? Because everybody's benefiting from this. This construction loan increases the value of the property. Yariel's asking, is that only for construction loan? That's traditionally in construction loans, that's what they ask. They ask to be primary, okay? Traditionally. All right. Moving forward, where it says satisfaction of the mortgage lien, all that I want you guys to look at, and it's already highlighted, is that the lender is the one responsible for releasing the lien once you finish paying it off. So they're the ones to notify the county records and say, okay, balance is zero, please remove that lien from there. It's the lender's responsibility, the mortgagee. That's all. Next page. We have two things that we're going to talk about, a little bit about what Jeff talked the other day with subject to. All right, I told you it was going to come up. So this is where it is. We're talking about assuming a seller's mortgage. Right? If there's anybody that doesn't have the book yet, because I don't want to go highlight right now, I want to go straight to the point here. If there's anybody that doesn't have the PDF, let me know in the chat real quick. If you already have it, then it's already highlighted, and I'm just going to give you the examples. Is there anyone here that doesn't have it yet? All right, cool. So here's the thing. There's two things that we're going to address right now, which is assuming a seller's mortgage and buying subject to a seller's mortgage. Okay? What I want you to know, and take note of this, in assuming a seller's mortgage, assuming you're taking over payments of the mortgage. In buying subject to, you're taking over payments of the mortgage. So both of them are exactly the same when it comes to taking over payments. And in both of them, you become the owner of record because you transfer the deed. Okay? So in both of them, you take over, you're the owner, and you make the payments to the mortgage instead of the previous owner, the one with the obligation. Are we good so far? Both of these operate the same way. Okay? It's pretty much you're giving up the property to somebody else. That's it. They take over your payments. Are we good so far? This is an assignment. Same thing as an assignment or a sublease. So every time you see sub, I want you to remember one thing. The liability, that's what we're going to talk about. Liability. Stays with seller. All right? Because in a sublease, the liability stays with the original tenant. If you sublease it to somebody else, we talk about it. Do I go after that somebody else? No, I go after you, the one that rented from me. So in the subject to, every time you see sub, just like subject to or sublease, that means that I lend to you, and if you don't pay, I'm coming after you. I don't care who you transfer the property to, you're the one responsible. All right? In assuming a mortgage, it's a little different. Assuming a mortgage is an assignment. And in an assignment, if you guys remember, there is primary and secondary liability. So guys, I sold to you and you don't pay, the bank can come after you and come after me. In this one, I sold to you and you don't pay, the bank comes after me only. In both of these, the house is taken. But in subject to, the buyer is not responsible for any payments whatsoever. Questions? Throw me any questions you might have. No questions? Everybody understood it? Was easy? All right. Yarel, just let's go here. So you can't take the buyer to court and kick them out. See, we have to understand, when you sell to the buyer, you're out of it. Right? The title was transferred to the buyer. It means they're the owner. What interest do you have in the property? That's what you have to think. If the deed is turned over to the buyer, then what interest do you have in the property? None. But you have an obligation. As we said before, that's how we started the chapter. There's two documents. One is the lien. Okay? I'm answering right now, URL. One is the lien, and the other one's the promissory note. If you guys remember from chapter 5, liens run, with chapter 6, liens run with the land, not the property owner. So you could sell the property to somebody else. That's why we're talking about the subject to now. You could sell the property to somebody else, but the lien is attached to the property. Okay? So the buyer is going to lose the property. But who's going to get sued for the money? The seller in a subject to. In a assumption of a mortgage or assignment of mortgage, in this case, both of us are going to get sued for monies. You as the primary and me as a secondary. What you need to understand is that assignments or assuming a mortgage, they were done with knowledge of the bank. So the bank recognizes you and recognizes me, the person that originally had the loan, right? So the bank now knows that they can come after both. That's why there's secondary liability. In a subject to, just like a sublease, do I know these roommates that you got? No. You're the one that rented to them. You're the one that transferred the rights to the property to them. I don't know them, but I know you. So who am I going to sue? You. You understand what I'm saying? All right. So in assuming a mortgage, everything is done talking to the bank and with the agreement from the bank that we will switch owners. That means that the new mortgage comes under your name. The new mortgage statement comes under your name with the understanding that if you don't pay, I'm also liable for it. In a subject to, did we ever tell the bank? No. The bank doesn't know that I'm here. The bank doesn't know that it transferred ownership. That's why it's subject to. If the buyer is willing to pay the mortgage, they can, as long as the bank allows this to happen on the paper. So the duties of the mortgagor are there. All right? Any questions? Questions? Right, don't stress. I see faces like, okay, I didn't get it. All right. Let's talk about immigration. Ready? What is the difference between somebody that's a legal resident and somebody that's undocumented? The difference is, if you're a legal resident, you are here with the authorization of the government, right? If you're undocumented, you're here without the authorization of the government, right? If you get caught by immigration, can the government kick you out if you're undocumented? Yes, right? But does the government know that you're here if you're undocumented? Not always. If you're a legal resident, you got your green card or whatever, the bank knows who you are and where you are. If you screw up as a green card holder, we're not talking about citizenship, we're talking about as a green card holder. If you screw up, they'll come after you. As a undocumented, if you screw up, they don't know who you are until like it's a major crime or something like that. Are you guys understanding the difference? The bank, in assuming a mortgage, take a note, the bank in assuming the mortgage knows who the new owner is, whoever took over. It's by agreement that the seller sells and the buyer buys, and the buyer takes over the mortgage payments. We agree to it. I'm the lender, I agree to it. In subject to this one, I never agreed to it because I don't know who you are, buyer. So if the buyer does not pay, who am I going to go after? The person I don't know? That's the thing, all right? So it's a matter of liability. The buyer is not personally obligated to pay the debt. They will still lose the property, but they're not liable. The new owner is not liable for the difference. That's subject to. Got it? Yes, no, maybe? All right, based on the silence, I'm going to assume one of two things. Either you got it or you didn't get it. So I'm moving forward. If you guys remember any questions, go ahead, okay? Page 187, we have alienation clause. And that's why I talk about immigration sometimes as an example, because of this. Alienation. What does it mean, alien? Alien means foreign. Okay? Alienation clause is not abandoned, Mark. Alien means foreign. So the alienation clause is when there's a transfer title. Okay? So this is also called due on sale. Happens at transfer. What the bank is saying is that I know you. So Tamari, I'm going to use you for example. I know you. You're the one that applied for a loan with me, and I approved you to buy this house. Right? I know who you are. You are documented in my system. Good so far? All right? If you sell the property to somebody else, that person is alien or foreign to our contract. I don't know who they are. So I can either allow, right, for that person to take over, or I can declare the entire debt to be immediately due. Because alienation clause also means due on sale clause. That means the money or the loan is due in total at the time of transfer. So at the time we close and there's a new owner, the balance with me, Tamori, the balance with me must be zero. You have to pay me back in full before the new owner can take over. And that's why at closing, for closing to exist, there must be a clearance of the monies that are coming from the buyer into the escrow account to pay me. Once I receive the money, I clear your mortgage, and now the actual sale occurs from you to the buyer. Does that make sense? So alienation clause is literally bringing aliens to the land. You are transferring to somebody I do not know. As a lender, I do not know that other person. I can either allow it, that person to assume the loan, meaning take over your payments, right? Or I can kick them out by asking you, or I mean, I can kick everybody out if I want, by asking you to pay the full amount immediately. If you don't pay and I find out that there's somebody there, what can I do? Foreclosure. Either way, somebody's going to get kicked out. The difference between documented and undocumented. If I find you here without papers, can I kick you out? Yes. You're here with papers? Great. I allowed you to be here. Perfect. right? By the way, I hope nobody gets offended that I brought immigration up as an example, right? It's just really to explain the difference between documented and undocumented for this purpose. Hopefully it helps. Questions? No? All right, if any questions, just put it there. Foreclosure, everybody already knows, so I'm not going to go over all the details of foreclosure. What I want to talk about is right here. If you win the foreclosure, if you win, you have to pay at least 20% cash the day of the auction and the balance within 10 days. So if you go invest in a sheriff sale, by the way, before you make any comments here, let me finish here, right? If you're going to invest in any sheriff sale, the state law says that it's 20% due at auction and 80% due within 10 days. Within 10 days. Okay? Only after you pay the balance is when you receive what's called a sheriff's deed. Only after you pay the balance, you receive the sheriff deed. It means you are the new owner of the property. Right? Now, 10 days is statutory. The 10 days is statutory. That means that the person has the right to redeem the property within 10 days. So they can pay everything back within the 10 days. If you have invested already in the sheriff's sale, you know that most of the times they give you up to 30 days. Some counties give you up to 60 or 90 days to come up with the money, but they charge you interest for it. But the state law is 10 days. After the 10-day period, can the homeowner that's losing the home, can they come up with the money and retrieve the property? No. After the 10 days, there's no right of redemption. Calendar days, yep. Calendar days. You guys got it so far? We're good? All right. Where it says deed in lieu of foreclosure, I want you to write instead. That means bank, here's the property. Just don't foreclose on me. Here's the keys. Here's the deed. I'll sign whatever needs to be signed. Just don't foreclose. All right? So technically, it's a friendly foreclosure because it's by agreement instead of civil action. So if you hear the words deed in lieu means instead or exchange. All right? So an exchange of the deed instead of the foreclosure. You guys got it? Good? All right, great. Next page, you already see the great word summary. Next page, it says short sale. I want you to write in front of short sale, selling for less than what you owe. So a short sale is selling the property for less than what you owe. You owe $500,000 to the bank, but the market is down. If the market is down, the property is now worth $300 instead of $500. Could you sell the property and pay the bank? No. So they will sometimes allow you to do a short sale, which is short of what you owe. Selling for less than what you owe. They'll allow you to retrieve or accept whatever the house brought on the open market. Okay, so a short sale is selling for less than what you owe. The bank, it's a lengthy, there's nothing short about the process. It's a lengthy process, right? It's a lengthy process to allow you to sell your property, not profit from it, sell your property, and at least it will show on your credit as a settlement instead of a foreclosure. So these are called foreclosure alternatives. Deed in lieu, short sale. There's also bankruptcy. You can apply for bankruptcy. That's another alternative to foreclosure, at least immediate. alternative. It will help you, give you enough time to negotiate a loan modification, a short sale, or a deed in lieu. But these are alternatives to help you stop the foreclosure. Okay? Again, what's the benefit of a short sale? Less damage to your credit. Less damage to your credit. You know, I was going to say you guys are awfully quiet, but you're always quiet on my end. I just want to make sure you guys are understanding everything we're going through. Okay? Now, I have a question. If you owed $500,000 and they allow you to short sale for $300,000, then aren't we missing something here? We're missing $200,000, aren't we? Right? The bank can come after the $200,000, and that's called a deficiency judgment. They're coming after the unpaid balance. Unpaid balance is a deficiency judgment. They are suing you for the difference. Just like I told you, if your car gets repoed, they sell at auction, whatever they collect, great, they got some money, but you owed more money. So they go after the balance, called a deficiency judgment. Okay? Now comes the area where you can really, really help somebody. You guys like helping people? Okay. You like helping people and getting rewarded for it? Making money? Okay, that's what this business is. Being a realtor, we help people accomplish their dreams and we're rewarded, right? In this case, you might not get rewarded immediately with what I'm about to say, but you will get a bunch of referrals, I can guarantee you. Did you guys know that we were in an up market until recently? You guys know that that property that would sell for $300,000 a couple of years ago is now worth $550,000 or $600,000, so more than what you owe the bank? Do you know how many people know this? People, when they start losing homes, they forget the world. They don't even pay attention to what's happening around. They just know they're losing their home. They don't even know that there might be surplus proceeds. That means that the debt gets satisfied in the foreclosure and some money is left that belongs to the homeowner that just lost the property. That's a surplus. A deficiency is when there's not enough, so I'm going to sue you for more. A surplus is properties are now worth more than what you owe, but people still think they owe more than what is worth. So how can you help somebody? I'm about to give you something. Some of you already know this, you've seen it. I'm about to give you something very, very important that can help your life right now and somebody else. All right? Wait, this just sounded like a 2 o'clock in the morning commercial. Right? If you stay until the end, I can give you something right now that will help your life, right? For only $9.99. All right, I want you guys to go to nj.gov. All right, you're going to write this down, just nj.gov. And go to sleep. And you're going to go search for unclaimed property. Unclaimed property. Let me see if I can bring it up on the screen right now. Okay, here we go. Can you guys see it? Yeah? Okay, great. So, a few years ago, 2014, used to be right here on top, right at the beginning. Instead of coronavirus, it would say unclaimed property and flashing, right up here. All right? 2014, they made it illegal for people to take advantage of other people by finding their money. So one of the things that they did is move it to a better location, right? Do you see how much better it is to find your money? Let's see, was it here? Getting there. Somewhere around here. Yep, they moved it, they moved it, moved it, moved it. Where is it? You do realize what I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to show you that it's no longer available on the front page. It is there, okay? It is there, it's just not in the front page. So we're gonna go to Google. And the reason why I want you to do it this way versus searching for unclaimed property right on Google, nj.gov, and then unclaimed property, okay? The reason why I'm trying to do it this way is because if you go through a different website, and there's a lot of them out there, I just told you in New Jersey they outlawed businesses making profit from this, right? If you go through a different resource, it might take you to pages that have a bunch of advertisements, and they're actually taking your money in order to find you money. But look what we got. It used to be right in the front page. Look where it's at now. I have to search for it. Called unclaimed property. And it takes me back to the New Jersey website. And they made it so easy, guys. Pay attention. They made it so easy. Right here in the middle. So easy. You're going to click search unclaimed property. Look how easy they made it. Right here. You're going to put your last name, your first name. You don't have to do it now, guys. I'm just giving you a heads up. You can find money here. First name. If you want to narrow your search, you can. You really don't have to. I would just go with the name. And then once you click search, it should pop up your name and areas that you might have lived if it matches you, because there's a lot of John Smiths, right? So there could be a John Smith in California that it's not you. So if you find your name there and says Elizabeth, wait a minute, I lived in Elizabeth, right? There might be money for you. And this is not just for foreclosures, guys. I'm giving you this information, not just because of foreclosures. It could be money that you had in the bank account that closed years ago. You didn't even know you had money there. Sometimes it happens. It could be a class action lawsuit that you're owed money, but you moved like 3 or 4 times, because that's what the average American does, move every 5 years. You move 3 or 4 times, and they don't know where to give you the money, right? So the money's there. Look, right here. I had a friend of mine that had 23,000. I always talk about this in my class. Mauricio says a friend of his had 25,000 from a class action lawsuit. All right? Could be there. You don't know. Like, I still haven't found money for me since 2014 when I found out about this. It's been 6 years and no money for Bruno. But I've been helping other people. I had people that had like $2 and they received the check. I had people that had $600, some of my students. The guy had a little bit over $1,000. And like I said, a friend of mine had 23,000. He was actually the reason why I told at the time all my 20-something employees, I told them, stop everything you're doing, go through all the files, submit them through this website. Let's find these people some money. We found for a few. We didn't find for the majority. But it could be there. There could be money for you. It could be money for the person that lost, hold on, the person that lost their house. All right. So again, nj.gov and search for unclaimed property. All right. You guys good? All right. Stop searching now so we can finish. Okay. Stop searching for your money so we can finish. Come back here. The last thing, the very last thing is real estate owned, and I want you to write real estate owned by the bank. Real estate owned by the bank. Okay? That means foreclosure happened. Nobody bid high enough So the reserve was not met. If you're thinking about auctions like eBay, the seller doesn't have to sell unless it meets the reserve price. So banks have a number. It's not the debt that's owed. There is a number, okay? It's called NPV, which is the net present value. It's a number to satisfy their loan on their end, the accounting side. Traditionally, is less than what is on the unpaid value. So if nobody bid high enough to meet the reserve, the bank does not have to sell to whoever was the highest bidder. In that scenario, they keep the property. Okay? Now it becomes real estate owned by the bank. It's now in their inventory. You guys got it? So later on, they're going to sell on the open market through auctions online or through a regular realtor, to be you, regular realtor, and you would be called an REO, not Oreo, there's no milk here, okay? REO broker, okay? Because some real estate brokers do specialize in handling REO properties. With that being said, SFR, get this certification. I talked about in chapter 3. I'm telling you again. It's called short sale and foreclosure resources. Okay? And it's only available through NAR. So when you become a realtor, you become part of the National Association of Realtors, right? Get this course. Especially now. I've been saying this for years. If you've known me for the past 4 years, some of you probably do. If you know me for the past 4 years, I've been saying the wave has not left. It's coming back stronger. Meaning, once it's high tide, it's going to destroy a bunch of stuff. My point is, there's going to be a lot of foreclosures, even more than what we have right now. Essex County has an average of 40 properties going to sheriff's sale every Tuesday. Not now, things slow down because of the quarantine, but a lot of businesses, I saw here in Newark already, a lot of businesses already closed down. If they close down, where are the employees? The business owner might not pay the mortgage because they don't have the business. They might have not gotten a job yet, right? So the employees, they might not have a job, so they're not going to pay their landlords or their mortgage either. If you throw a pebble in the water, what happens? Ripples, right? It doesn't stop at the pebble. Get ready. The next year or 2 years is going to be worst in terms of foreclosures. That's my opinion. A lot of people disagree with me. Let's see what happens. I still recommend get this course, at least. Okay? You guys good? All right, we got here Brian's favorite word. We're done, guys. If you have any questions, just hit me up in the WhatsApp group or send me an email. Any questions regarding this? I know it gets complicated. I did try to take as much time as I could to explain everything. But again, if you did not get anything, just let me know. All right? And for those of you taking the exam tomorrow, those that have completed taking the exam tomorrow, you just hear listening again and again and again. Good luck. I'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Bye, guys.